Hello everyone, I'm Hanju. In the last video, we talked about how we understand language. If you haven't watched it yet, please click the link on the top right side. Today, we'll discuss the opposite one, how we produce language based on the psycholinguistic approach. Here, language production is a term referring to speaking, writing, or gestures and facial expressions in case of sign language. Since spoken language is used in our basic communication, I'm going to focus on speaking. There are various production models made by different scholars, but they all agree on 4 stages: conceptualization, formulation, articulation, and self-monitoring. The first stage, conceptualization, is also called a message level. We plan a message, register, which means how we deliver a message, whether we'll use honorifics for Korean, if we'll ask a question or a favor. We also plan which language we are going to use. Suppose you want to describe this scene on the screen. You plan that you'll describe the scene where a girl is eating an apple, that you'll say in a statement, and that you'll say in English. As a result of conceptualization, we get a preverbal message. It's a message that doesn't have a linguistic form. So, it exists as a nonlinear form, which means there's no order. What comes before or after something else is not determined yet. In the second stage, formulation, we plan a linguistic form of a preverbal message. It can be divided into 3 levels: functional, positional, and sound levels. Functional level indicates selecting a lexical representation to express a message. In order to select a lexical representation, we need to go through the process called lexical access. We enter our Mind Dictionary lexicon, access the entry that best describes the message, and then retrieve information related to the entry, including its meaning, syntactic category, and structures where it is used in case of verbs. All the information in the lexicon is stored unconsciously, so through the lexical access, we bring the information into the area of consciousness. Also, we plan the grammatical function of an entry, which is a role that an expression plays in a sentence, such as subject or object. Let's go back to the example in the conceptualization stage. To express the idea in the picture, you choose entries like girl, eat, apple, and give them grammatical functions. Since it is a predicate, girl will be a subject, and apple will be an object. To sum up, functional level is selecting lemma, a lexical representation with semantic and syntactic information but without sound information. We are going to discuss later why sound information is excluded. In the positional level, we plan the structure of a sentence. We also plan function words like articles or conjunctions and morphological information related to the entries, such as adding past ed or progressive ing to a verb, or adding plural s to a noun. In the example, you'll place the words in the order of the subject girl, the predicate eat, and then the object apple. Since there are one girl and one apple in the idea, you're going to put an indefinite article a in front of them. And as you're going to express the idea that is happening right now, you'll add a progressive morpheme to the verb eat and put an auxiliary verb be before it. In the sound level, we plan phonemes, which are abstract representations of sound segments in our mind, such as p, and their order and how to pronounce them are also determined. The last one is called prosody, and it refers to how high, long, or loud we pronounce the phonemes. Back to the example, you plan the sounds of the outcomes of the functional and positional levels, resulting in the phonetic symbols written below the picture. Also, you'll say in a statement so the pitch will fall at the end of the sentence. In short, Sound level is planning lexeme, which is the lexical representation with sound information but without semantic and syntactic information. I mentioned that we select lemma, which includes semantic and syntactic information in the functional level, and plan lexeme, which includes sound information in the sound level. But how do we know the lemma and lexeme are separated? A simple evidence is a phenomenon called tip of the tongue. You know what it is, but it's on the tip of your tongue and you can't say it. Suppose you come across a colleague on a street. You definitely know who that is. You remember you had a small talk with a person last week. But you can't remember his name. I think all of you may have experienced it at least once. If lemma and lexeme are one thing, you should be able to recall the name once you know who that is. So far, we have looked through the 3 levels of formulation: functional, positional, and sound levels. In some of the production models, functional and positional levels are bound together and called grammatical encoding, and sound level is called phonological encoding. Although their names are different, their core concepts are identical. And as a result of formulation, we get a linguistic representation that has a linear order, contrary to a preverbal message, the outcome of conceptualization. For instance, eating comes before girl and after apple. After formulation, all the speech plans are settled. The third stage of production is articulation, which is executing a speech plan using articulators. Articulators are the body organs that play a role in making speech sounds, such as vocal cords, teeth, and tongue. Again, in the example, you carry out your speech plans, saying aloud, "A girl is eating an apple," which is delivered in the form of speech signals. And the last stage is self-monitoring. It is checking if one is saying as planned using one's comprehension system. You may have planned "a girl is eating an apple," but say "a girl is eating an orange" instead. With your comprehension system, you constantly check what you're saying and then notice that you made a mistake. It should be an apple, not an orange. So you correct yourself by adding "no, an apple." But self-monitoring is not restricted to this case. It can also happen before articulation. You may have made all the speech plans but feel it's inappropriate to say. Then the plans do not proceed to the next step, articulation. I've introduced you 4 stages of production, and when you compare them with those of comprehension, you'll realize that comprehension and production are kind of opposite. Comprehension starts from speech signals from a speaker and ends with an intended message, whereas production starts from a speaker's message and ends with speech signals. Now, let's move on to the features of production. There are 3: incremental, parallel, and automatic. First, production is incremental. A speaker doesn't plan the whole sentence at one time. Instead, a speaker starts articulating once a part of it is planned. For example, as soon as plans are made up to girl, you'll start saying "a girl." And once plans are made up to eating, you'll start saying "is eating." Second, production is parallel. This means different production stages are done on different parts of a sentence simultaneously. While articulating "a girl," you plan the next part "is eating," and as you're saying "is eating," you plan the next part "an apple." So, we are planning while articulating. Lastly, production is automatic, which means it's unconscious, fast, and uncontrollable. Every stage except conceptualization is automatically done. We need conscious efforts to form an idea, but once message level is finished, everything proceeds smoothly. That's why production can be parallel. Since most of the processes are automatic, you can articulate while planning another part. This is all for today. We've studied the 4 stages of production: conceptualization, formulation, articulation, and self-monitoring. And we've also learned 3 characteristics of production: incremental, parallel, and automatic. Thank you for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. Have a good day.